Welcome back to Unfit Frame. Today, we dive into a series of gripping tales that unveil the perilous encounters of individuals who unknowingly crossed paths with one of Mexico's most notorious criminal organizations, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, better known as the CJNG. From TikTok sensations to fearless journalists, these stories expose the dark side of the opulent lifestyles and daring choices that led to life-altering consequences. Join us on this riveting journey as we explore the true stories of those who dared to challenge the CJNG and the price they paid for it. But before we delve into the narratives, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell to stay updated on more intriguing content. Now, let's unravel the chilling stories of those who faced the wrath of the CJNG. July 7, 2022, a TikToker shut down a platform in Mexico with luxury vehicles just to shoot a video this enraged maybe of Mexico's most dangerous cartel, and how they treated him controlled his life everlastingly here. Various times TikTokers play with some unsatisfactory cartel. Rodolfo Marquez, in any case, called Fofo Marquez, is a debatable Mexican stalwart who has countless allies across his virtual diversion. Brought into the world on the 15th of July, 1997, Fofo was point of fact normally acquainted with a rich family. There's not much information on his family establishment still. From what we understand, his granddad made shoes for high-profile dignitaries in Mexico, while his father was one of the owners of Hard and Fast Assistant Station, before he passed on. Now its prominent Fafo comes from a rich establishment, and his online diversion character basically pivots around him, introducing in the most extravagant vehicles, going to clubs with his sidekicks, and living that Mexican dream. It was moreover through sharing his luxurious lifestyle and virtual amusement that he assembled different million-thousand lovers, making him with Gen Z's call a force to be reckoned with. At any rate, Fofo's notoriety on IG wasn't adequate. He decided to investigate his strategy for TikTok, where he spread out a fan base, yet likewise began causing himself issues, and numerous people had eyes on him and clearly expected to chop him down. Well, Fofo wouldn't fret. He had a tremendous internal identity. It appeared as though he was steady anyway. All that internal identity was crushed to the virus Earth. The subsequent he intruded with one of Mexico's deadliest cartels, the new Jalisco Age Cartel, also called Change. I'd be doing you a colossal inappropriate behavior in case I didn't edify you with respect to the reality of this criminal association and its savage procedures. Once you're aware of their errands, you'll fathom the justification for why anyone, even someone as obviously immaterial as a TikToker, would face serious gamble by experiencing him. Actually, different TikTokers featured in this video have tragically encountered this identical criminal get-together, and I can't fight the temptation to inquire as to why. We are the new assembling Matazetas, and we are against seizing and coercion, and we'll fight them in all states for a cleaner Mexico. Those were the words written in a note by the Jalisco New Age Cartel back in June 2009, after they executed 3 Mexicans and emptied their bodies in a truck. Mexican experts at first misconstrued these people as a minor gathering inside a greater cartel. In any case, the CJNG immediately showed its danger by executing 35 people from rival cartels and discarding their bodies in various vehicles along the Mexican road. The vehicle tells later Nemesios Aguida servants, in any case called El Mencho, has procured a renowned remaining of being Satan in human construction brought into the world on July 17, 1966. El Mencho ascended out of a developing family as sixth family, and regardless of this establishment, he gone early, searching for a more forceful and odious method for advancing one put aside by the stain of cocaine and the blood of Mexicans. El Mencho's culprit cycle began at 14, performing humble tasks for greater cartels, and a while later in the U.S., where he continued with his lawbreaker advantages. At any rate, he was removed to Mexico after a Texas set upload-related sentence. Now concerning his return, El Mencho joined the Millennial Cartel as an expert assassin. In any case, the cartel coming about crack drove him to ally with the Sinaloa Cartel subgroup under Ignacio Nacho Coronel. Here he directed drug errands, assets, and violence in the Mexican domains of Colima and Jalisco. Yet following several extra years, he took care of a part of the get-together, renaming it Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Age, or the Jalisco New Age. Cartel with El Mencho in control, the CJ formed into one of the globe's most harsh criminal substances, wearing military-grade gear that could be mistaken for genuine Mexican military units. They're awful, they're horrendous, they're not to be interfered with. So what? Unequivocally did Fofo do to irritate this extremely amazing and degenerate affiliation, particularly like essentially every TikToker out there presented to introducing everyday accounts on Keep Their Followers Drew and Fofo was doing. Moreover anyway, this time he decided to achieve something moderately few have kind of completed in Mexico. So on July 7, 2022, Fofo took 3 excess vehicles and left them decisively in the focal point of the Machut-Remus Range in Guadalajara, Mexico. He plunged from one of the vehicles and began recording the traffic that was growing right behind him. He offered expressions like, "We've polished the post off ourselves. This is what I want to display, what money and influence can do. From a genuine perspective, I shut it here, since I expected to illuminate." He continued to flaunt about how he had shut down the expansions for a couple of moments and how the large number of different vehicles were sounding, even considered doing several TikTok moves, while chased people were denied permission through that range. Fo posted that on TikTok, and it didn't take long for that video to transform into a web sensation app. Numerous people online shared their repugnance at Fofo administering put-downs on him for his easygoing quality and folly. One Twitter client even called him a headless nitwit. The city executive of Guadalajara, in like manner, did whatever it takes to crush blames against him for TikTok officially restricting his record. While they cut down that video in less than 48 hours, Fofo couldn't get to his record anymore. Andrew relied upon various stages to fragile his appearance of regret. He was upset for his unconventional approach to acting and mentioned acquitting from people affected. The city executive recognized Fofo's demeanor of regret anyway, communicated that he expected to complete a couple of long stretches of neighborhood cleaning under that comparable expansion he hindered, left with no decision. Fofo assented to do as he was asked. At this point, it was correct now that the Chong decided to repel Fo for his exercises, right when the smoke for adultish video had gone down. The CJ reignited the entire case with a message delivered off Fofo Marquez. The message transformed into a web sensation through internet-based diversion, and it was from an obscure record named Gentecon La Gente NG, which implies people with the new age. The message was similarly written in Spanish anyway. It for the most part makes a translation of to this greeting to each one, people of Guadalajara, we are the Jalisco New Age Cartel. As you would know, the force to be reckoned with, or sleazeball for Marquez there to block the movement of traffic on the Madhu Teramis length. Anytime, which is an exhibition that we don't get through, won't allow this animal to pull off. That we are liable for Jalisco in all of Mexico. We wouldn't allow you to come to Guadalajara and do something like this. If you step in Guadalajara, not your or your money would save you from us. By and by, seeing how well Mencho and the CJ and G by and large are driven by outrageous ruthlessness, it could have been any person who made that message to foo people. From the Cheung acknowledged that El Mencho should be feared and respected by Mexicans. Sofo pull in such a stunt in a town under the prompt control of El Mencho himself was an attack against El Mencho and his influence. Fofo's, for certain, rich, yet where his overflow stops is where that of the Chong begins. These people rake in billions of dollars yearly and control a colossal piece of them. Mexican government, their message overreacted Fofo because he understand that no one could protect him, expecting the CJ and G decided to truly kill him Once the message flowed, things got really the CJ. And G doesn't make jokes, and Fo understood this. He offered a plating feeling to him on the web and immediately ran back to his people estate in Mexico to search for sanctuary, yet being in that estate wouldn't change anything. The family then, at that point, enlisted prepared security men to watch the house 24/7. Be that as it may, even with this fofo wasn't safeguarded. The CJ and G had cut down the deadliest cartel agreement executioner groups and, shockingly, the units of the Mexican furnished force in the past, so no proportion of security could hold them down. Fofo was unnerved. He couldn't take off from the house for a seriously significant time frame, kept away from windows to avoid master sharpshooter attacks, and, shockingly, conveyed a handset around so he could bestow in case he was at any point in danger. Following several months, Fa finally returned to his life. Yet his exercises against the force of the CJ and G changed his way of living till today. At any rate, as crazy as that sound, this next young person had the guts to insult L. Mencho, clearly Illuminati 6 outstandingly noteworthy words. Right, well, those were the statements of an individual known just by his TikTok handle Illuminati 6. Going before his record became private, he associated with his enthusiasts by enduring the difficulties they accommodated him, and on that occasion, one client attempted him to insult El Mencho, which he did in the video. The TikToker wore a released dull round neck and a dim tore sets of jeans, and was conveying a backpack. He laid on a light post and said, "Listen, well, you offspring of a El Mencio can suck my dick." He then, at that point, says, "I don't rest like El Pirata or El Chanito de Goyacan," alluding to two other web-based diversion adolescents that had been executed by Elemento. He finished the video by saying, "Far off. I settled on the concurrence with Satan. I came to give you fireman show. I'm not frightened to say this. I'll communicate this with the camera here. Men show can suck my dick." Wow, I mean, you want to cheer the guts of this little youthful individual who felt he could insult El Mencho when that video turned into a web sensation on Reddit and Twitter. Numerous people felt he most likely been a person from the cartel to have such confidence in those words, while showing his face in the process. Different clients offered expressions like "RI." Somewhat early, these people going to get himself prepared, and this is an educational activity on the most capable strategy to evaporate, yet oddly enough, no word was heard from El Mencho, or even the Chung. A couple of reports said that the high schooler wasn't arranged in Mexico, and that is the explanation. It would be challenging for the CJ to get to him. It was represented that he lived in Richmond, California, making it hard for the CJ to attempt to pursue him. Whether or not they expected to, notwithstanding it, would have been an attack on new land, further ensnaring things for their affiliation, so that CJ and G didn't reply. Yet there was a breeze. Several days sometime later, this young person moved another video saying sorry to Elemento for his words. He said, "I'm study for what I said. I wasn't well. I didn't know about what I was referring to. It was misguided. That day I stirred stupid. I didn't look at the outcomes. It did that for fans I mentioned. Exonerating you and your family are famous, and sure, don't kill me. I have a family particularly like you. I'm sorry we in general commit mistakes. I have mental issues, sir. Essentially review that we like you." The web went crazy with this declaration of regret, video dropping, because that was the very individual that had such a colossal sum to tell El Mencho. Several days prior to, people started to ponder whether El Mencho passed a singular terrorizing onto the youth, without each and every other individual knowing, or did he essentially awaken from his little TikTok dream to recognize who on earth he was speaking in light of, and keeping that we never got to comprehend what happened behind the scenes. This TikToker, as of late, vanished, and his record was made secret. There was a video of him posting on another TikTok account before long anyway. Beside that, no one can say for explicit what happened to this individual, So do you think Hilmencho killed him off unobtrusively? I mean, maybe he did, who knows. Juan Luis Lagunas Rosales and El Chinito de Cuya, con Juan Luis hailing from Mexico, gained web praise under the moniker El Pirata de Cuyacan, meaning privateer Cuyacan, brought into the world in Sinaloa. Juan's upbringing was separate by trouble, his father's non-attendance, and his mother's confined work, astonishing entryways, left him being dealt with by his grandmother, who could, to be sure, do a restricted sum a ton of now. Unusually, his life as a youth region was organized 2 or 3 kilometers from the space of the famous Mexican medicine ruler, Joaquin Juan El Chapo Guzman. In any case, Juan's direction had as of now to meet with the universe of sedatives until he picked to leave optional school and seek after a prevalent life in Cuyacan. In the wake of appearing in Cuyacan, Juan took on various low-paying liabilities to help himself anyway. All the while he encouraged a sad affection for alcohol. This penchant for drinking plagued his work and unwinding time, regardless of what his underage status and overall idiot incredible comes from finishing an excess of alcohol anyway. For Juan, it kind of did. His hazardous relationship with alcohol instigated them to prominence. He spread out a youthful YouTube channel where he moved accounts of himself drinking bounteous proportions of whiskey and ale, followed by his reaction to becoming intoxicated. Well, it could have all the earmarks of being unusual. These accounts gathered an unexpectedly massive number of viewpoints and reactions from the group, and adding a part of humor to his substance, added to his quick rising, his Facebook page amassed in excess of 1 million disciples. By and large, his Instagram had around 300. Astoundingly, his omnipresence provoked appearances and music accounts and television programs. Once more, horrible thing comes from consuming a ton of alcohol, and Juan's unforeseen prominence got revolting. He started posting pictures on his gram that disagreed with the more prepared section, since he was just 17 years old at the time. These photos depicted him with weapons, sumptuous vehicles, and habitually deficiently clad charming women, and in spite of the way that everyone thought he landed himself with the disgusting secret universe of Mexican sedatives, he wasn't banded together with any cartels, essentially not yet, rather a social occasion with Beto Sierra, a weed-based diversion. The leader's ace signified the turning point for El Pirata. Sierra's heading encouraged him to advance away from that alcohol-driven content and embrace more appealing undertakings. For instance, uncovering his own product, and regardless, trying a singing job at any rate. John remained like a tick in postponed bomband. His predetermination was fixed sooner than anticipated. On various occasions, one directly conveyed his defiance towards different adversaries, recollecting an inebriated video for which he provocatively outraged Nemesio Segura. Servants, what's his name? Everybody El Mencho, he communicated. These distinct words, which conveyed a striking wild importance in English, unreservedly meaning simple. I mean, I really don't get why these people put themselves in danger, knowing how hazardous El Mencho isn't. Even El Chapo's cartel bears to prompt Chung, and we realize this is an immediate consequence of their preposterous levels of heartlessness and brutality. Yet these youngsters, maybe for 2 or 3 inclinations, or the energy to turn into a web sensation, by means of online diversion, see the need to get down on a man that kills individuals like flies. Likewise, a fair seeing gave a cruel caution for Juan to avoid dropping by Jalisco, assuming he held on to any craving to remain alive. Yet Juan wouldn't fret. He proceeded to have a party with his sidekicks at a Jalisco bar. That was the second CJ and G Sicarios sent them on a brief trip to life following passing December 18, 2017. Furnished men roared the bar where Juan was lodging, and with a hail of more than 18 slugs from first-class weapons, his life was startlingly drenched in less than a second. The different wounds caused made it so challenging to attempt to see that body. It was in this way recognized by the tattoos on his arms. His passing, rather than his life, transformed into the subject of a part in Stray magazine, focusing in on his demise as a result of CJ and G, and clearly the stupidity of testing conceivably of the most required man on earth, yet furthermore, with his passing, another Mexican youth believed it to be a medium to secure clout. With the death of El Pirata El Chinito, decided to get down on El Mencho, saying he was determined to search for retaliation for the destruction of his buddy. The viral video showed El Chinito holding a rifle close by a small child, whose face was covered in like manner, utilizing a rifle while they berated out El Mencho. They called El Mencho words like nitwit, and, shockingly, criticized El Pirata for drinking such a great deal of alcohol just for content and web reputation. I mean, you shouldn't mess around with us to tell you that this declaration obviously provoked El Chinito's passing anyway, for El Chinito, the CJ and G, decided to take things to the strong. El Chinito apologized for his declaration to El Mencho and played the wildness card, maintaining to be insane. Yet this didn't stop the Shang. El Chinito went off internet-based diversion for a while, and everyone thought he had been killed at this point. The veritable insistence of his death came when a secretive Redditor posted a video of him being executed by Shung Sakaria. The recording was immediately brought down for its practical substance. The message had been passed: don't play with El Mencho, Leslie and Pamela Montenegro. Leslie Ann was a Mexican virtual diversion stalwart who procured ubiquity as a TikToker YouTuber and genius. Tragically, she met a heartbreaking end due to her decision to uncover eccentric bits of knowledge in regards to a renowned cartel in Mexico. Realized by her web-based persona, Nana Peluca's Leslie attracted her group with accounts going from legislative issues and beauty care products, informative activities, to ordinary video. Online journals about her electronic presence took a phenomenal bend when she embraced the persona of a lady stunning at dim afro hairpiece, old red lipstick, and inquisitively enormous glasses. In a manner reminiscent of current TikTok examples, she would amusingly speak with people in supermarkets, asking them irregular information requests to get their reactions. As of now, as time went on, Leslie's following broadened, inciting her to move her substance towards revealing ruffian specialists inside the Mexican government. Leslie did a completely get down on names, rather she capably passed her message on through humor anyway. Its impact remained certain and worked up huge discussion of. Clearly one could envision that rehearsing the option to talk unreservedly of talk would convey no harm, with the exception of in Mexico, that the fact of the matter is a piece different. The outing towards her horrendous predetermination began when she started uncovering understanding into the activities of the confounding free cartel of Acapulco, maybe of Mexico's most enigmatic criminal affiliation. This particular cartel worked unobtrusively, regularly disregarded in light of its covert nature. They expected a huge part in the many homicides did inside the town of Acapulco, and were one of the various more humble social occasions in the space. Returning to Leslie's record, her publicizing of the cartel's exercises introduced her to death risks banners, faulting her for collaborating with rival cartels to reveal the free cartel's secrets and pass them on to the Mexican government. Fired appearing around her bistros. Likewise, Leslie enthusiastically denied these charges, confirming that her information began from trustworthy sources and that she had no affiliations with any cartels, paying little mind to these perils. She remained steadfast procedure with her postings and revealing the cartel's activities, which changed her into a genuine risk to their undertakings. February 5, 2018. 2 men entered her bistro during her night shift, mentioning blends before viciously gunning her down. She had 3 chances to the chest region, ending her life on the spot. Fortunately, Mexican experts sorted out some way to get one individuals responsible for her crime LP pass. The subsequent starter, in any case, strayed away from in a startling course. The overseeing judge strangely pardoned the charges against El Divas, no matter what a flood of specific verification. This upsetting outcome obviously addressed the deep-rooted corruption that Leslie had fought against. Cartels controlled the lawful system regardless, influencing high situating government specialists and duplicating models like El Chapo's bearing prison moves away from Leslie's demise. Unexpectedly drove new substances to look at the alcohol go cartels issues, in the end uncovering the city's dangerous express. The real town made the situating for being the world's second most dangerous city. The U.S. even gave an extraordinary travel limitation to prevent its occupants from visiting the city of Acapulco. Leslie's assumption for uncovering the city's issues to the two individuals overall, and the Mexican government pulled out all the stops. Anyway, she sadly misconceived a level of pollution. So as she continued looking for value, Leslie screwed with these cartel people and paid for it with her life. That, my colleagues, is something that will not be neglected to recall in a hurry. Tick Exhaust and journalist Azucena has similarly sorted out some way to etch her name among those in the horrible books of the Jalisco New Age cartel. In August 2021, Miss Udest transformed into a target of the Chung after they conveyed a message calling her uneven and a partner of vigilante bundles in Mexico. Miss Udeste is essentially drawn in with the press, and right now what is apparently her TikTok account has been made private. In the video conveyed by the CG, 6 sicarios were wearing dull dress and conveyed mechanized weapons, while a 7th man who said he was a representative of El Mencho plunked down and passed his message on to Miss Udeste. The delegate said, "I'm not against chance of verbalization yet, rather I'm against anyone that attacks me." He continued to examine how the cartel would find and kill Miss Udasti for destroying the name of their relationship. According to their side of the story, the vigilante pack claims our peacemakers in Mexico are in fact street pharmacists in cover. These vigilante packs have gone through inestimable attacks on different cartels to paint themselves as legends to the Mexican government. In any case, the Xinjiang acknowledges they're essentially another failure bundle expecting to eat from the wealth of the Mexican narcotics stowed away world. They moreover ensure that really a cartel would yield that kind of ammunition these careful get-togethers have. In any case, Miss Udest's life transformed into an indispensable resource, considering the way that after the Chiang's video became renowned, web-based, the Mexican President Obedo ensured the country that nothing was going to happen to any Mexican, or even Miss Boldness for talking reality. In his clarification, he said, "It's our commitment that Mexicans are not terrified or sabotaged by anyone." The authority delegate Jesus Ramirez Cuva tweeted a post about the episode saying, "The public authority would take the fundamental measures to safeguard any person from the press from offering their genuine viewpoints." Then Miss Uresti addressed herself, saying that she was at present under the affirmation of the public power, and didn't seem, by all accounts, to be irritated by this statement from CG. From there on out, Miss Udesti has been continuing with her life, and there had been no attacks against her reality. May eventually show that the CG had decided to let her be, or they could be believing that the ideal time will strike. For sure, news inclusion is a tough spot in Mexico, and I don't have even the remotest clue why Miss Udesti should unpredictably put her trust in an organization that has stopped briefly and watched numerous editorialists before her kick the pail due to different cartels. So maybe Uresti is the primary TikToker, an online diversion character, to screw with a cartel and pull off it. Still, location, the expense. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to show some love by hitting that like button, subscribing to Unfit Frame, and ringing that notification bell for more riveting updates. Your support keeps the stories coming. Now, let's jump into the world of true crime together. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon.